So today I'm talking about str data represents data type. Str represents string data type. Fine. Any sequence character as string as any sequence of characters. You can say that key. Any sequence of character is called string. Say for example, my name. So any sequence of character is called a string. Say for example, I have written my name in a single quotes, Satyendra. So it is a string. You can use double quotes also for string. So in the double quote, if you write Satyendra Satyendra, it will be fine. Oh, hello. Is everyone is able to hear my voice clearly now? So please type yes if you can hear my voice clear. Okay, then I'm continuing with the class. If you face any problem, you see the recording because I'm doing the recording of the class. So you can ask the doubts later on also. You are welcome. No problem. Okay. So I'm continuing the session. Okay. So str represents a string data type. Any sequence of character is called string. So string can be represented either in single quotes or in double quotes, right? No issues. Python accepts both single quote as well as double quote, right? So let me show you, okay, how Python accept this. So if I write here, name is equal to, and it's accepting it happily, right? And if you type your name, it's showing the value in single quotes. If I'm typing my last name, right? Last name is equal to, I'm giving it in double quotes here, MISHRA. So I entered it and it happily accepted the last name. And last name, if I type here last name, it's giving its value. So the last name is Mishra, right? So you can see that Python internally storing the strings in single quotes, right? But it is accepting the data in double quotes as a string also. No issues. Okay. But it is better to use single quotes in Python because Python is storing the single quotes, not the double quotes, right? Example codes. Okay. So in Python, single quotes or single quotes or double quotes or double quotes, single quotes or double quotes to is used to represent is used to represent represent single string literal single string literal literal. You have to write it in single quotes, otherwise Python will give you issues. Say for example, you have written name is equal to, right? I'm writing here Python and I'm not given any quotes, single quotes or double quotes. So now it's giving you issue that name error, name Python is not defined. So if you want to represent a string data, you should write the string either in single quotes or in double quotes, preferably single quotes, right? Preferably single quotes. Single quotes is always preferable in Python than double quotes, all right? So if you type here, say I have some data in name which is already present, Satyendra, right? And if you type here if you want to see the type of the data type of name, then you just type and then you type name. Okay, and you press enter key and string will be class str will be shown to you. Okay, Lakshmi is asking me, sir, why name equal to Python is not stored, right? The reason is this: Python treats name equal to Python as a variable. Okay, Python as a variable, and Python is not containing any data, and it is not a valid variable in the current environment. So that is why it is producing an error. Okay. Okay. Certainly no, sir. Okay. So the next thing, next thing is single quotes or double quotes or because Python prefers a single quote and it also prefers double quote, but Python is preferring single quote. That is why I'm saying that okay, use single quotes. Okay, to represent the string data. There is no harm using double quote also. You can use double quote also because the people are coming from Java. They are habituated with the double quote symbols, right? So they can use double quotes, no problem, right? But Python prefers single quotes. As you can see, what Python is printing, right? So when I typed name, the Python is displaying it in single quotes. Python is not displaying it in double quotes. So it means that okay, Python is preferring single quotes, not the double quote. Okay. See one thing, the last name, right? The last name I have stored using double quote, but it is printing it in single quote, right? Last name. Okay. So the last name is printed in single quotes, right? So Python prefers single quotes, but it supports double quote also. Okay. So so preferred thing. So the preference is given to the single quote, not the double quote. But if you are writing double quote, it won't be a problem. You are acceptable. The data is being acceptable, right? But there are few tips and tricks are there so that you will understand with your experience, right? So learning a programming language is like learning driving a car. So as you drive the car on the road, you will face loads of things, and with the experience, you can handle those things. Okay, so at the end of the day, you can handle it either in single quotes, double quotes, triple quote is also there in Python. So, so these things are there. Fine. So let me continue with the next concept in string. So in string, this is in string you can write single line or you can write multiple lines of string also there, right? To write multiple lines of string, you have to use triple quote. You have to use triple quote, and then your string, then again triple quote, right? Triple quote, then your string is here, your string is here, right? You can write it in this way, or 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 you can write it in this way, triple double quote, right? You can write your string over here, here, or here, and then close the triple double quote, right? So you can write here multi-line strings here, right? In Python, multi-line strings are also supported, right? This is for this and this is for multi-line string, multi-line string. So multi-line string, right? So we can write multi-line string in Python. Fine. So multi-line string, we can write it in Python in this way. So I'm writing here. Say for example, I'm writing here multi-line string. So this is Python. This is Python's third class. So I have to print a single quotes here. So I have to use a slash symbol, right? Because I'm using a single quote as a multi-line. Python's first class. First, this is a Python third class. Third class, right? And I'm pressing enter, third class. And today I am teaching. I am teaching. Today I am teaching strings. Today I'm teaching strings. Please be muted. Don't disturb. Okay. So today I'm teaching strings. Fine. And please don't disturb. Don't disturb. Be muted yourself and see the recording if you miss something. See the recording if you miss something. Miss, right? If you miss something, I welcome your doubts. Welcome doubts. Fine. So my this whole thing got finished. So I'm closing it with triple quote, right? And I'm pressing the enter key. Okay. So now you can see that okay, the whole stuff is uh, uh, is uh, is accepted, right? And one thing I have missed it out. I missed out storing the whole stuff in a variable. Okay. So what I can do here. It has printed, no problem. It has printed the data because it is stored in the memory. Control C, and I can here write something called para equal to control V. So I'm pressing the enter key, and now you can see that okay, the whole paragraph is being accepted. Okay, the whole paragraph is being accepted. Okay, so if I type here para, if I type here para, it will display me the paragraph. Okay, so it is showing here double quote, not the single quote, right? It is not showing the single quote here. Why it is not showing the single quote? There is a reason here. The reason is that Python's Python having S as a apostrophe or a single quote, right? I've written Python's third class, right? And that is containing the single quote. So that is why the whole data is represented as a double quote, right? So the single quote and double quote complement each other, right? So if you are using double quote in the string, if you want to use double quote inside the string to for display or to store, then you use you use single quotes. And if you want to use single quote inside the string, right, then you can use the special characters, right? So for that reason, it is showing the information in double quote, right? So in Python, single quotes and double quotes are complementing each other. Okay, but Python prefers a single quote. Fine. The preference of Python, if you ask Python which quote you want, Python says single quote, right? But if there is a complicated situation, then Python arrange the quotes intelligently. Okay. So, so let me copy this, and we can copy this also, the para part in our notes. So we go there and go to the notes, and we okay. So this is Python third class, and there is another thing over here which you have seen here. There is something called /n, right? /n is used as new line character, new line character in str, right? /n is a new line character. So wherever I have pressed the enter key, the /n is stored automatically. The /n is stored automatically. It is a new line character. You can see the /n over here also. You can see the /n over here also. Okay, so what will happen if I type here para, right? If I type here para, if I type here para, then you can see that it's printing the whole stuff like this. But if I type here print para, if I type here print para, then it will print the paragraph the way I have entered. Right. So this is Python third class. Today I'm teaching strings. Please don't disturb. See the recording. If you miss something, I welcome your doubts. Okay. So here I'm printing the Python in separate lines. Okay. So this is how it is done. So when you print the para, it will print it in different lines and it will not display the /n, right? So this /n is a new line character and it is called escape sequence, right? It is called escape sequence. And the escape sequence, what do you mean by escape sequence? It is a special command. 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 It is a special command given inside the string. Given inside the string. Starting with backslash character, backslash character and another character So here it is /n, right? So /n means new line. /n means new line. So it is not going to be printed on the screen whenever you give the print command, right? So when you give the print command, this will not be printed on the screen. It will shift the cursor to the next line, right? So this character is not printed on the screen, This character is not printed on the screen. It will shift the cursor to the next line. I hope everyone understood. If you have understood, type yes. So this is the basic information regarding strings. I will teach more thing in strings also later on. So let me teach you a few more things regarding string also. Like there is a operator there, the string stored in the memory like this. So for example, I am storing Satyendra, SATYENDER, right? So it is stored like this in the memory, right? And the indexes are like this. Indexes are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? Then here in Python also maintains the negative indexes of the string also. So -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7, -8, and -9. And this string is represented by an object called name or the variable called name, right? This name is this. Okay, so a string having a positive index from left to right. So left to right is positive, and and right to left, right to left, right to left is negative, right? So we can use the slice operator, right? We can apply the slice operator. We can apply the slice operator on strings. Okay. So what do you mean by slice? Please write on the chat window. What do you mean by slice? No one is typing. What do you mean by slice? Used for defining a range. Yeah, it is used for defining a range. Very much technical. Okay, slice. You can think that a slice of a bread. Very simple English. A slice of a bread. Okay. So what do you mean by a slice? Slice means ki we are going to cut the string into pieces, right? And take out and create a new object. We cut out the strings into pieces and get a new object. Okay. Say for example, I have written here Satyendra, right? And if I write here name, if I write here name 0, 0 colon 6, right? So 0 colon 6 means ke 0 to 6, 0 to 6, right? So it means the last value which I have written here, this value, say this value, this value, this value, this value minus minus one position. This value minus one position will be picked. Will be picked. So it will pick. It will pick. Pick. It will pick S A T Y E and N, right? And it will create this string. Okay. So when I will write. So this is how we can use the slice operator. Okay. So if I write here, say name of minus one, then what it will give? It will give me R. It will give me R. Okay. If I write here name of minus 3, right? So it will give me what? It will give me D. It will give me D. So let's give a try here. So I've already stored a name there. So you can see that name is containing SATYENDER. So if I write here name of minus 1, so it will give me R, right? So if I write here name of minus 3, right, it will give me D. Okay. If I type name of minus 10, right, what it will give? Please type what it will give. If I type minus 10, so I hope you have seen in the notes the index values. The index values are from minus. Yeah. So few people, one person is saying error, one person is saying no. Uh, Then again Shuktika typed yes. Manav error. Okay. Okay. Sir, S is -9. Okay, fine. So it's ending at -9 will give error. Okay, correct. So it will produce an error, right? So it will produce an index error, right? So index error. If I write name is -10, then it will produce index error because it is out of the index, right? So let me take all these in our notes that people can understand this part. Fine. So now the thing is this, okay, here I'm going to use the slice operator. So slice is like this. Okay, say string str, and here we write begin index, begin begin index, and we put a colon, and then we write here end index, and in the bracket, right? So so here here I'm going to tell you that okay, here both are optional. Both are optional. Begin and end. Both are optional, right? You can write it or you cannot write it. Okay. So let me write this part. So you go to Python and then if you write here S, sorry, not S, you write here name 0 colon, and I have written here 6, right? 0 colon 6. So now you can see that it has picked the Satyan. You can save this also, right? You can save this in another string. Say you can write here sub. You can write here sub is equal to name 0 colon 6. You can give spaces, you cannot give spaces also. I'm writing spaces because of clarity only, right? So if you write here sub, right, it is going to print the Satya. So we have now a new string, right? And if you type here name, it will not take out the characters from the name. Satyendra is still there, right? Few people have a feeling that Satyen is taken out from the name and der is only left. No, it is not there. It just copies that part. It just copies that part and generates a new string. Okay. So that is why sub is containing Satyan, not sub is containing Satyan and name is containing Satyendra, right? So it is like that. Okay. So let me do few more experiment. So if I write here name 1, 1 is to say 6, what it will pick? So it will pick ATYEN, right? So it's picking ATYEN. If I write here name, and if I write here 1, and then I put colon, and then I'm closing the square bracket, then it is printing after it's selecting from 1 towards end, right? So it's printing that much. Okay. Then what it will print if I write here name colon, and then I'm writing here 6. What this will print? So it is printing. So it's taking by default 0 and before 6, right? So it's printing SATYEN, right? If I type here name, if I type here name, I have just because both are optional, so I've just given colon and this. Okay. So it's taken total string, right? So it is representing the full string. Fine. So if I take this way, name starting with -1 and ending with -6, ending with -6, what it will print? Uh, what this will print? Name -1 colon -6. Anybody can guess? Starting from -1 to -6. REDNEY. -1 to -6. DNE. Okay. Another person is typing. Other people can also type it. I'm not going to shout. I'm not going to shout if it goes wrong. All right. So people can type it. Not a problem. No one is typing. Okay. So let me. What it will do here? Okay. It will start picking from -1. Right. So let me go back to this. It will start picking from -1, right? And it will end at -6. So it will pick R, E, D, N, E, right? So maybe E, N, D, E, R. This is before -6, right? Before -6. So yeah. So this much start, and the end is always end minus the sixth character also. So it will pick YENDER. Okay, let's give a try, and I hope I am correct. Let me give a try here and see. So it has given me the blank name of -1 and -6. So -1 and -6 I have given here, and it has generated a blank. So I said name beginning is -1 and end is -6, right? It's giving me it's giving me blank, right? Why it is giving me blank? Because so this is what I thought. Okay, it will give me this. It will pick me like this. Okay, it will start from -1 and the cursor will move backward, and it will pick till here. It will pick till here. Okay. So it's given me blank because the Python cursor will not move backward. It will move always forward in the forward direction. The Python cursor, the Python index, the it has given me blank, right? Let me explain it here again. Again, few people have told me that, okay, sir, please explain it here again. So I'm explaining it again. So I'm writing this again. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And and this is pointed by a variable name, right? And I have written the slice command name -1 sorry, -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7, -8, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So I have written a command -1 colon -6, right? So the Python cursor never moves backward direction, right? The Python index, the Python index never moves in the backward direction by default by default, right? So this is the beginning value, this is the beginning, this is the beginning, this is the beginning, and this one is the end index. This is the beginning index and this is the end index. Fine. Yeah, so this is the beginning index and this is the end index. So what you have to do, okay, okay, from the beginning index you have to go to end index. But the thing is this, okay, the beginning index must be the beginning index must be smaller index, and the the index is end index must be the greater index. End index end index must be must be greater index, because first we write down the lower bound and then we write down the upper bound. So here both the indexes are valid, so but by mistake I have written the upper bound first and then the lower bound. What I have written? Upper bound first, because minus one is greater than -6. -1 is greater than -6. So this will return. So this will return return empty string. So this will return empty string. I hope I am able to make you understand the concept of beginning index and the ending index, right? Why it has given me the empty string. Okay. So let me show you. If I reverse it, right? If I write -6 first and -1 as the -6 as the beginning index and -1 as the ending index, then you will definitely get the output, right? So be cautious when you are using the indexes. Fine. So name of -6 colon -1. So you can see that it has picked the characters, right? So it will start at -6, right? And it will pick the character before the -1 character. So it has started the picking up the character from here, -6, and it will pick the character before the -1. That means it has picked the character YENDE, right? It isn't picked the -1 character. Fine. Okay, few people have written, yeah, Shuktika, you are correct. In that way, we can reverse the string also, not a problem. So I hope concept is clear. The beginning index and the end index. I'm just talking about the concept. My target is not to reverse the string. I'm just talking about the conceptual things. Fine. Why won't it show error? Subbalakshmi, if you type your question clearly, then I can explain it. Um, Same question. -6 and -1. My screen is visible to you. Why won't it show error? Oh, space. No, it will not show you any error because the index entry, right? -1 is also a valid index and -6 is also a valid index, right? So both the indexes are valid, right? And and these indexes are present in the memory. So that is why it will not generate an error, right? It will give you the empty string. Okay. Yeah. I hope now it is clear. Okay, so there is another property of string that key you can replicate the string. Fine. There is another property of the string is that we can replicate the string. Replicate the string. Fine. Say for example, if I write here, say I write here dash is equal to dash is equal to, in single quote I have given a hyphen and I have written here multiplication 60, right? It will store 60 hyphen. It will store it will store 60 hyphens in dash, right? So let me do this. This is interesting. Equal to hyphen multiply by 60, right? So if I write here dash, you can see that there are 60 hyphens, right? So in Python, string can be replicate, right? This is another very good feature about Python. So in Python, we can replicate the strings, all right? So this is another very nice thing about Python, and we can use this concept for printing information, right? So it is very much it makes our program or the output of the program, we can write a very interactive output of the program by using this concept called replicating the string, right? We can replicate the string. If I write here, if I write here, if I write here my name, if I write here print name multiply by 10, right? It will print my name 10 times, right? So you can, if the people coming from Java, they can think that okay, how much lines of code is required to do this operation. Okay, so this is how it is being done. Okay, so it has replicated the string 10 times and then printed. Okay, so first it will replicate and then print. You cannot print you cannot print 10 Satyendra in 10 lines. You have to, because the first replication thing occur and then printing, right? So it's very much difficult to print it in the new line, but in one line you can print it. So this is called a replication of string. Okay, so I hope replication of the string idea is clear to everyone. How we can print, Rishabh is asking, sir, how we can print the name with age calculated. It's not possible like this, Rishabh, right? Here we can replicate, we can copy one string multiple times. We cannot, we cannot, we cannot means ki, we cannot do any calculations over here. This is just for print formatting the printout or the output, nothing else. Okay. So yeah, so if I write here dash, dash dash, right? It has stored this. So if you write here, say for example, if I write down the length of the name, right? If I write down the length of the name, then what it will contain? It will contain the number of characters present in the name, right? So how many characters are present? 9 characters are present, right? So the len function will give you, the len function gives the len function gives us the number of characters present in the string, present in the string. Okay. So I hope the string idea is fine. So this is the basic idea regarding string. Okay. So let me revise once the core data types of Python, right? So let us summarize, right? So let us summarize the summarizing the core data types of Python. So first is core data types. And we can write here numbers, none, sequences, The next thing is mappings, right? So numbers are, we know the numbers. So integers, floating point, and then we have complex. Numbers. Then integer having another type called a Boolean, right? Sequences are string. We have covered string, tuple or tuple, right? And a list. And mappings we have dictionary. Right? So I've just written the basic types here, and here we have covered the immutable types, right? So what do you mean by immutable types? So there are two types of data here in Python. One is mutable and another one is immutable, right? Immutable types. So what do you mean by immutable types in Python? So immutable types are those that can never change, their values in place, right? In Python, the following types are immutable. The following types are immutable. Right? So int is immutable. float is immutable, right? Complex is immutable. Int, float, complex, bool, and str, right? So these str and tuple and tuple is immutable. Tuples are immutable, right? Bool is we can remove the bool from this list. These 5 types are immutable. Okay. No, we can keep the bool, not a problem. Bool is also immutable. So int, float, complex, bool, str, and tuple, all these are immutable. Fine. So next thing is mutable types. Number 2 is mutable types. So the mutable types are the mutable types are those whose value can be changed in place. Only 3 types of mutable in Python. Only 3 types are mutable in Python. So these are in Python. So these are list, dictionaries, and sets, right? So these 3 are mutable, right? So we can we can change the information stored inside these objects, right? So these are mutable types, right? So we come in detail all these. The list is one chapter, dictionary is another chapter, and sets is another chapter. Okay, so we study regarding these data structures also. Okay, so next thing is that in Python is object-oriented language. So we try to understand, there's a concept called variable internals, right? We try to understand the variable internals, right? Variable internals. So understanding of memory is very important for a programmer. So you should understand the internals of the memory. So Python is object-oriented language. So Python is an object-oriented programming language. Right? So Python calls every entity that stores any values or any type of data as an object, right? So in Python, everything is object, right? So Python calls every entity. Python calls every entity. Python calls every entity that stores any value or any type of data as an object. As an object. Right? In Python, everything is an object. So an object, what do you mean by an object, right? First you need to understand this, an object. So an object, an object, so an object is an entity, is an entity. An object is an entity that has certain properties, certain properties, that has certain properties, and and that exhibit that exhibit a certain type of behavior, a certain type of behavior of behavior. Example is that integer values are object, right? So integer values are object and they hold whole numbers only, right? And they have infinite precision, right? They support all arithmetic operations, right? Very simple example. So let me write it down so you can remember it. So for example, integer, right? Integer values are object. Integer values are object. They hold they hold whole numbers. They hold whole numbers only, and they have infinite and they have infinite night precision precision or properties. They support all they support they support all arithmetic operations, all arithmetic operations. So this is called behavior. 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 So this is called behavior. Okay. So the properties are that they have infinite precision, right? And they support all arithmetic operations. So all data values are referred to as object in Python. Similarly, we can say that the variable is also an object and that refers to value, right? So now, every Python object has three key attributes, right? So every Python every Python objects every Python object has three has three key attributes has three key attributes associated to it associated to it associated to it Fine. Three key attributes, right? So this three key attributes are associated to it, every Python. So we have used it. So number one is the type the type of an object, the type of an object, right? So we have used this thing, right? So you have declared, say you have declared here a equal to 4, right? And if you write here type of a, right, it will show you class. In the single quotes it will type int and the angular bracket is closed, right? So this is the type of an object, right? So this is the one of the attribute. The second attribute is the second attribute is the value, the value of the object, the value of an object, right? So what is the value of an object, right? So if you write here, a is equal to 4, and if you just type a, it will display here 4, right? So this is the value of the object. This is the value of an object, right? Understood? So if you give the print command and then type and then print a, it will print the value of a, which is 4. Fine. So the third one is, the third one is the ID of an object. The ID, the ID of an object, ID of an object, right? So the ID of an object, is generally the ID of an object is generally the memory allocation of the object, the memory location of the object, right? So there is a built-in function, right? There's a built-in function called ID. Built-in function ID, right? Returns the ID of an object, returns the ID of an object. Example, if you write here ID, of A, right? So it will return you a number like this, 308999132, right? So this is object A. A is internally stored. Object A is internally stored at location. Right? So on the RAM, A is stored at this location. Fine. So basically variable A. So variable A's current reference value is variable or object A current referencing location, is 308999132, right? So understood. So this is the thing regarding ID. We can check the ID of our variable here. Let me show you a very interesting concept in Python regarding ID. Let me show you. I just got it. Remember, say I have written here ID of 4. Right. In Python, the numbers are stored in the memory. So I pressed enter key. It has shown me the ID of 4. Right. Now, if I write here, say x is equal to 4, right? What will be the ID of x, right? ID of x. So the ID of x is same as the ID of 4, right? So you can say that in Python, all the numbers are stored in IDs, right? in IDs, and the variable which we define, it actually points to the ID. Understood? It actually points to the ID. Okay, so let me take this example in our notes. So this is quite interesting. So you have the ID 4. So you can see that okay, there is an ID here. Let me take another example also. Let me paste that one also. Let's take the ID of 5. ID of 5. What is the ID of 5? Right. So ID of 5 is this 195.1987696. Okay. So let me take all these. Not all these. I have to take till 5. Control C. So ID of 5 is this. So we can write it here. Say the ID. So 195.1987680. So at this memory location, 4 is stored, right? And 5 is stored at 195.1987696. These values will differ in everybody's computer because it is showing the RAM's value. So RAM is random access memory, so it depends. So whenever you restart your IDs, it will change, right? So it will not be same every time, right? But when Python starts, it will do this thing. So here 5 is stored at this memory location. So I have written x is equal to 4. So when I've written x is equal to 4, that means x started pointing to this memory location, right? So now I'm writing here. Now what I'm doing here, now I'm writing here x is equal to 5. X is equal to 5, right? And now I'm checking the ID of x. ID of x. Now you can see that the ID of x changes to that location, right? So let me take this also there. So let me take this example here. So now what I have done, I have written the x is equal to 5. Oh, sorry. Here I have to write here x equal to 5. So x equal to 5 I have written. So after writing this statement, what will happen? Okay, this will not be this x is not pointing to this memory location. This x will start pointing to this memory location. You can see the ID. You can see the ID. ID of 5. ID of 5 and ID of x is same. Right? Understood? So here does the internal change of the variable x, right? The internal change of variable x will is x is just a name which is pointing to the memory location, right? So when I'm changing the value of x, right, that means x starts pointing to different memory allocation, right? So this is how Python memory is being organized, right? So it has some storages also, okay? So it's a very much interesting concept about IDs of Python, right? So this is a memory representation. This is a memory representation of an object, Okay? So therefore we can say that okay, the variable is not a storage location in Python. The variable or the object is not a storage location in Python, not a storage location in Python. Rather a label pointing, rather a label rather a label, rather a, sorry, rather a, rather a, rather a label, rather a label pointing to a, pointing to a value object. Fine. So this is the concept of ID, right? So we keep this much today because I have some time limit and I have some business meetings to attend. So we keep this much today, and next day we will be starting with operators. Next class, operators in Python, right? So I will be doing in details the operators. Okay.